Welcome back to Narrative Network. A world-renowned chef takes up a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity at an exclusive luxury hotel. Enticed by the unimaginable salary of $300,000 a day, the allure of success, prestige, and financial freedom consumes him until he begins to uncover the horrifying truth about the hotel's secretive operations. They serve human flesh to an elite clientele. As he struggles to escape the nightmare, he must confront his own complicity and wrestle with the moral cost of ambition. Stay with us in this interesting story. Michel Durand was no stranger to opulence. A Frenchman born into a family of chefs, he had spent his life climbing the culinary ladder, earning Michelin stars and cultivating a global reputation as one of the finest chefs in the world. His dishes were described as art on a plate, and he thrived in the constant quest for perfection. Yet, despite the fame and accolades, Michel's hunger for something more remained unsatisfied. It was a rainy afternoon when the letter arrived. An invitation from the Elysium, an exclusive ultra-luxury hotel that catered to the world's richest and most powerful people. The letter was brief but tantalizing. Dear Monsieur Durand, we are delighted to offer you the opportunity of a lifetime, the position of executive chef at the Elysium. Your compensation will be $300,000 per day, with full creative control over our world-renowned menu. We require the utmost discretion. Please respond within 48 hours. The letter was signed by Jonathan Blythe, a name that carried immense weight in elite circles, though little was known about the man. Michel's pulse quickened as he read the offer again. $300,000 a day? It was outrageous news, almost laughable, yet undeniably seductive. After all, what chef wouldn't want to work at the most exclusive hotel in the world with absolute creative freedom? Still, Michel hesitated. His instincts whispered that something wasn't right, but ambition, that ever-present hunger, overpowered his doubts. He sent his acceptance within the hour. The Elysium was more than just a hotel. It was a fortress of luxury, perched on a private island off the coast of Monaco. Guests arrived by helicopter or private yacht, shielded from the prying eyes of the world. Michel was flown in by a sleek black helicopter, the blue Mediterranean waters shimmering beneath him as they approached the island. As the chopper descended, he marveled at the sheer grandeur of the place. Ivory towers with sprawling terraces, infinity pools, and private beaches that stretched as far as the eye could see. He was greeted by Mr. Blythe himself, a tall, silver-haired man in a tailored suit that oozed wealth. There was a calculated precision to Blythe's every movement, his smile practiced, and his handshake cold. "We're thrilled to have you with us, Chef Durand," Blythe said, guiding Michel through the marble-clad halls. "Your reputation precedes you." "I'm honored by the opportunity," Michel replied, though the grandeur of the hotel left him feeling slightly unnerved. Everything here was immaculate, too perfect, like a gilded cage. Blythe led him into the heart of the hotel, a kitchen that was a masterpiece in itself, state-of-the-art equipment, rare ingredients sourced from all corners of the globe, and a staff that moved with choreographed precision. It was a dream for any chef, and Michel's fingers twitched at the sight of the tools. "You have full control," Blythe said. "Our guests demand the extraordinary, and I trust you'll deliver." Michel's unease faded slightly as he immersed himself in his work. The ingredients were like nothing he'd ever seen before. Fresh, vibrant, with flavors that danced on the tongue. Over the next few days, he created masterpieces that left the hotel's elite clientele in awe. Every plate was a symphony of taste, every bite an experience. But despite the praise and the staggering paycheck, Michel couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The guests were peculiar. They were impossibly wealthy, yes, but there was something unsettling about their eyes. The way they lingered on their meals with an almost predatory hunger. One night, after service, Michel found himself lingering in the kitchen, savoring the silence. As he prepared to leave, a member of the kitchen staff, a young sous chef named Rosa, approached him nervously. "Chef," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I need to talk to you. It's about the meat." Michel raised an eyebrow. "What about it?" Rosa glanced over her shoulder, as if afraid of being overheard. "There's something wrong. I've been here for a year and I've seen things. I don't know how to say this, but you need to be careful. The meat isn't what you think it is." Michel frowned. "What are you talking about? We source our ingredients from the best suppliers in the world." Rosa's eyes were wide with fear. "Not all of it. Some of the meat. It's not from animals." Before Michel could press her further, a door slammed, and Rosa jumped, her face pale. "Please, just be careful," she whispered before hurrying away. Michel stood frozen, her words echoing in his mind. Human flesh? It was absurd, unthinkable. But the unease that had been gnawing at him since his arrival began to grow. The following days were a blur of tension and paranoia. Michel found himself scrutinizing every ingredient, every piece of meat that entered his kitchen, and then, one night, he found it. It was after hours, and the kitchen was empty. Michel was examining a new shipment of meat when something caught his eye, a small, unmistakable scar on one of the pieces. His heart raced as he pulled the slab closer, inspecting it under the harsh kitchen lights. It wasn't just a scar. It was a tattoo, faint but unmistakable. Human. Michel dropped the meat as if it had burned him, stumbling backward in shock. His mind raced. This couldn't be real, it had to be a mistake. But deep down, he knew the truth. Rosa's warning, the strange behavior of the guests, the secrecy surrounding the hotel, it all pointed to the same horrifying conclusion. They were serving human flesh. Michel spent the next few days in a daze, his mind consumed by the horrific discovery. Every meal he prepared felt like a betrayal, every bite a crime. He couldn't leave. Not yet. Not without proof. But how could he gather evidence without drawing suspicion? Rosa approached him again, her face pale and drawn. "You know now, don't you?" Michel nodded grimly. "How long have you known?" "Since my first week," she whispered, tears in her eyes. "I tried to leave, but they don't let you. Once you're here, you're trapped. They'll kill you if you try." Michel's blood ran cold. He had to get out, but he couldn't leave without taking the truth with him. He needed to expose the Elysium for what it was. Over the next few days, Michel began secretly documenting everything. He took photos of the shipments, the meat, the kitchen's storage. Every night, he stored the evidence in a hidden folder on his phone, praying he wouldn't be caught. But it wasn't long before Blythe began to notice something was amiss. It was late at night when Blythe summoned Michel to his office. The invitation felt more like a command, and Michel's heart raced as he made his way through the darkened halls. Blythe's office was as luxurious as the rest of the hotel, but there was an ominous air about it. The man himself sat behind a massive mahogany desk, his cold eyes fixed on Michel as he entered. "Chef Durand," Blythe began, his voice smooth but laced with menace, "I've noticed some peculiar behavior from you lately. Is there something you'd like to tell me?" Michel forced himself to remain calm. "I don't know what you're talking about." Blythe's smile was thin and dangerous. "Don't play coy, chef. You're a smart man. You've figured it out by now, haven't you? What we serve here, what our clients demand, it's not for the faint of heart." Michel swallowed, his throat dry. "You're serving human flesh." Blythe's smile widened. "Very astute. Yes, our guests have unique tastes. They come to the Elysium for experiences they can't find anywhere else, and we provide them with exactly what they desire." Michel's stomach churned. "It's monstrous, is it?" Blythe leaned forward, his eyes gleaming. Or is it simply the next level of culinary excellence? Our clients don't see this as a crime. To them, it's the ultimate indulgence. They pay for the privilege of tasting something forbidden, something rare. And you, Chef Durand, are part of that. Michel shook his head, disgusted. I won't be a part of this. Blythe's smile faded, replaced by a cold, calculating look. I'm afraid you don't have a choice. You've seen too much. If you leave, you'll never make it off this island alive. Michel spent the next few days in a state of constant fear. He knew he had to escape, but Blythe's threat loomed over him. The island was isolated, and every member of the staff seemed complicit in the hotel's dark secret. He couldn't trust anyone except Rosa. Together, they hatched a plan. Rosa had contacts in the outside world, people who could help them if they could only get off the island. But it wouldn't be easy. The Elysium was a fortress, with surveillance cameras everywhere and guards patrolling the perimeter. The night of their escape, Michel's heart pounded in his chest as they made their way through the hotel's labyrinthine halls. They had timed it perfectly. The kitchen staff had gone to bed, and the guards were on their scheduled break. Rosa led the way, her steps quick and silent. They reached the edge of the island, where a small boat was hidden among the rocks. Michel climbed in, his hands shaking as he started the engine. They were almost free. But as the boat pulled away from the shore, a loud alarm pierced the night air. The hotel's lights blazed on, and Michel could hear the shouts of guards in the distance. Panic surged through him, but he kept the boat moving, praying they could make it to safety before they were caught. They made it to the mainland just as dawn began to break over the horizon. Rosa's contacts were waiting for them, and Michel finally allowed himself to breathe. They had escaped. They were free. But as the adrenaline began to fade, Michel was left with a crushing sense of guilt. He had been complicit in the horrors of the Elysium, even if unknowingly. He had cooked those meals, served them to the guests, and profited from it. No amount of money could erase that. Rosa looked at him, her eyes filled with empathy. We did what we had to do to survive, she said softly. But now we have a chance to make it right. Michel nodded, but the weight of what he had done would never fully leave him. They had escaped the Elysium, but the scars of that place would haunt him forever. Together, they vowed to expose the truth about the hotel, to make sure the world knew what kind of horror lay behind its gilded doors. But Michel knew that even if they succeeded, he would never be able to escape the memory of those meals, or the price he had paid for his ambition. In the end, the Elysium had taken more than just his freedom. It had taken his soul. Months later, after an explosive exposé revealed the horrors of the Elysium to the world, Michel stood in a small, quiet kitchen in a town far removed from the glitz and glamour of his former life. The fame, the fortune, the ambition, it was all gone. He cooked now not for prestige, but for the simple pleasure of creating something honest, something pure. As he plated a modest dish for a local patron, he felt a sense of peace. The world might never fully understand the darkness he had escaped, but he had found a new path, one where the price of taste would never again be paid in blood.